Welcome everyone to another TED EUD webinar. We do this for our communication specialists and also enthusiasts across both divisions. We invite people who share their expertise with us. We have a very special guest today, and I will share more details with you. But before that, if this is the first one for you, let me explain how it works. I will introduce the speaker, he will share with us, and then at the end, we will have 10 to 15 minutes for questions and answers. So if you have a question, you can write it on the chat, and we will pick it up at the end and share. We also please ask you to switch your microphone off unless you are actually speaking or sharing something with us, so that there is not noise in the background interfering with all of us. And this will be recorded and it will be shared on our YouTube channels later. So if you have a friend who couldn't be here but could benefit from the presentation, feel absolutely free to tell them to check our YouTube content. Okay, let me introduce you shortly to Simon. He said I could just use his first name and not have to struggle pronouncing the last name, which is very polite. Thank you. So Simon is a media producer and has been working as a media producer for over 10 years now. He has a BA in digital film productions, has worked for different companies, and at the moment he owns his own company, his film production and social media management company. And so we're very privileged, and thank you so much. It's always, I don't know if you know this, but the people who speak with us, they do so voluntarily. They share their expertise for free, and it's very generous and kind. So thank you so much, Simon, and welcome.
Yeah, thanks for the kind words. Really appreciate being here. And yeah, let's dive into it right away. All right, so I will share my screen with you because I have a few slides and I will tell you a little story to the beginning. The building you see here is the building of a company called Henke. And Henke is doing all kind of metalworks. They do CNC drilling, milling, turning, all the nice stuff. And 2 years ago, around 2 years ago, 1.5, 2 years ago, they decided we need to go online on social media. So they did, and actually they were somehow kind of successful. It was very chaotic. So you see a screenshot of their channel here, and it's all kinds of different formats like vertical, horizontal. They had reels, short one, long ones. They had different kind of formats, but somehow they managed to do it. So what came next was actually a big fire in their production facility. So everything was stopped, and they had to deal with all the insurance stuff and paperwork and just get their business running again. So I hope not everyone who starts a social media channel will face such a difficult period of time and a fire in their production facility. But what happens often is that somehow a challenge comes around and it's all questions, and social media get not the last but not least, but the last and least what you think about. So that's a typical case when I'm talking and working with clients when we do social media management. So often they tell us, well, we were self-motivated. We started to post, we started all the channels, and somehow it was a little successful, and we managed to do it sometimes with a student worker or somebody else who filled their social media channel. But then comes a challenge around. In this case, it was a fire, but in the other one, it can be like illness or just like a economical difficult time or something, and social media gets down the list one step after another, and then a social media which channel which once was living and active just got dead. And that's why we want to talk today about a living social media channel and how to sustain it and being not overwhelmed managing one. So I had a few slides, but Vanessa already introduced me, so I will just go over them. So that's the thing what most of the people say. Like, we need social media, we make the decision, we set up the accounts, and we start posting. All of that can be handled in around like 15 minutes. So within 15 minutes, you can start your social media channel. Doesn't matter if it's Instagram, if it's TikTok, if it's LinkedIn or any other platform. You just say, yes, we do it. You log in and then you're ready to go. But then comes the question, what's next? So you start posting some photos, some graphics, and then you're running out of ideas and you're running out of time and you think, oh, this is a nice trend. I should hop on, but oh, how do I do it? Or, well, I introduced already all my workers here at the company. I introduced what we are doing. What's next? And the question I ask them then is, what's your goal? So what are you looking to achieve with your channel? Then what's your target audience? What's your unique selling point? What's the most important, what's your story to tell? And at this point, often the people get very quiet because they actually don't know the answer of all of these questions because they just decided we are going social and we just set up an account and then we're going to post it. So in around 15 minutes, you started, but you have no real goal. You don't know who is our target audience, what is my unique selling point to tell, and then what's the story? Because it's not only just posting stuff, it's really like telling stories, building a social community. That's why it's called social media. So before anybody is starting a channel, you should really think about those questions because after all, you will come to this what's next because you just are overwhelmed with what is happening. You don't know what are the next steps to develop a channel, especially if you do it like a side hustle. And this is maybe a case you are familiar with from your institution or the position you are in. Somebody decided, let's go social, but then it's like more like a side hustle. Somebody has to do it, and it's not really growing. So those are the questions we need to talk about here. So what's your goal? Is it reach, just to spread the message? Is it sales when we talk about like a company? Is it image, reputation, reputation for a coach or an expert? Or what is it what you're looking for? Then who's your target audience? Is it which age group is it? What is their social behavior? What is their like shopping behavior? What is their family background? What is their like status in belief? Like we have those targets audience presented with the from the GC last year at Gain, where they had like the A, B, C, D, E. So who are you going for? Not only in church context, but also for companies. Who is it? Are you aiming for the ones who don't even know you? Is the target audience the people who are already engaged with you and you just bring them next step? So there are a lot of different aspects you have to think about. And also, what's your unique selling point? And I don't mean what's the unique selling point of a company most of the time, or hopefully this is already clear, but what is your unique selling point with your social media channel? So what's a unique thing you offer the audience on your social media challenge? If you think about like a hairdresser or something or a barber shop, whatever company it is, there are so many online. So you will find like fashion brands all over. But what's the unique selling point? What's the unique thing of your content you're posting? What is that? And then after all, what's the story? Like you can tell a story about how a company was founded. You can tell about the story, what is the production process of your product. And also, when we think about church context, sure, we have a story which is told by the Bible already, and we just have to like transport it. But is that like a unique selling point? If we take a look at social media, there are a lot of Christian pages. So what are we looking for? What is the story we want to tell? So what after all, it comes down to achieving mental availability. What does this mean? This means who is the account, the brand, or the community, which is it the people are thinking when they're thinking about a specific topic. So especially, not especially, for example, you want to buy shoes. What is the first shoe brand which comes to your mind? If you want to go shopping for groceries, which is the first store which comes to your mind? If you want to buy a car, what is which is the first brand which comes in your mind? And this is the same thing on social media. When they are looking for a church to visit, which church is coming to their mind at first place? Or if they want to join a community of Christians, which is the community, or if they want to have Christian like inputs or quotes and proverbs they want to read, which page are they looking for? And this is overall at the end, which will be probably the main goal for church channels, because we don't have a product to sell in church. We are not going for sales. So the main thing we are looking for at church is for sure the reach, because we want to reach the whole world to make them to disciples. So that's not just a saying in a Bible verse, like that's our mission. Then we want to probably build a community. So we want people not to stay at home and believe what they found out and maybe get some input from an online video. So we want to invite them to our community, to have a community of believers, a community of faith, share faith, and be disciples of Christ together. And then we also have events, so we want to invite them to events. Those are the main goals I see in church social media accounts, and I have talked to different institutions already, and at the end it comes down to those three things. And all of them only are like you can only successful gain reach or build a community or invite people to an event if you are like visible and you have the mental availability in their heads, because there are so many offers, there are so many communities, and if you're not in their head, they will go somewhere else. That's how it works on social media. It's the same with like a product. When a company sells a product, like a mobile phone, computer, whatever it is, it's also like a pen. So where will you buy a pen? Maybe it's not like a specific brand who manufactured that pen, but maybe it's like a store you're thinking about. So here are some numbers why mental availability is not only like good to say because it's like a buzzword or something. When we look at Germany, we see like 50% of German users over 18 years of age buy what they see. It's not about like what's the best product, it's what they see. Because they are too lazy to compare nowadays, especially the young generation. If they see a product at their favorite influencer, or if they see a product which is just cool and it represents their lifestyle, they just click the button on an ad on social media and they buy it. 50% of German users do it regularly. Then we have 24% say that positive interaction positively influences their purchase decisions. Interactions here is meant with like comments on social media, having personal messages on social media, just have an interaction with a human being or a Instagram account. And if you increase this interaction, you build a relationship. And 24% of the users say that those interactions are positively influence them to make a purchase decision, which we could translate to they will do maybe a decision to attend an event. Yeah. So you build a relationship online and then they come hopefully in real life as well. And then 62% of the users get inspiration from social media. And that's a point I will later on go into a little bit deeper. So 62% of the users, they're actually consuming that much that their inspiration, what they want to do with their hobbies or the career or the community they're attending, their leisure activities, their vacations, all of that 62% get inspiration for their life from social media. So it's not that we're talking about like a side thing, which is sometimes still around in some of the institutions or companies, not only institutions, companies, they say like social media is just a side thing. So there are a few people, no, it's like actually a lot of people. So we have users using their smartphones up to 6 or 8 hours per day. And when we talk about that, it's maybe not the during the day when they are at work, but especially during the night and evening times. And that's also the times where most of the decisions for the private matters of life are taken, because during the day, most of the time, they are just at work and focusing on different stuff. So just keep that in mind. All right, we don't achieve mental availability if we use social media as a whiteboard. So that's how a lot of social media channels started for companies, but also in church. Like 5, 6, 7 years ago, when the first channel started, it was a nice thing to have like a digital whiteboard and have like just information stuff. And most of the time, it was mainly internal information stuff. Like there was a seminary or there was a workshop or there was a concert or stuff. They were just posting invitations online, and they were frustrated because only like 50 people saw it and maybe there were 3 likes and nobody came to an event. So we need to do more than just announcements. We need to do more than just event invitations, and we should do more than just quotes when we talk about social media in a church environment, because announcements are boring. Event invitations without a reach is also like ineffective, because if you don't reach the people, you can put out 100 invitations and nobody will come if nobody sees it. And good quotes you'll find everywhere. So there's nothing unique about posting just good quotes on a social media channel, especially if you start with like 0 reach so far. So you can do that, and it's part of your social media, but it's not the only thing you should do, because all of that doesn't matter if you don't feed the hungry. So you need to stay in touch with your community. You really need to build a community, and you need to like feed the hungry. So you need to give them what they want to see. And when especially younger generations sit on their sofa, but younger generation on social media doesn't mean only like the teens or the teenager. Social media statistically goes nowadays up to 55 on active users. So 55 years of age is still the social media target audience nowadays. And that's actually my parents. So it's we have come quite far until now. So we really need to feed them, because what they do, they sit on their sofa in the evening and they're just scrolling through the mobile phone. They are sitting on the toilet and they're just scrolling through the mobile phone. They are in their lunch breaks and they're just scrolling through their mobile phones. It's not that I mean, for me personally, I don't want to support the people to take more time of their life being on social media, because we all know it's just like a drug, an addiction, and it's not good for the brain. But if we talk about like reaching the people, in my opinion, we need to be where they already are. So, and better they watch a video or see a photo and they have a quality and good content, instead of having just another silly entertainment video they can see. And so that's what I mean with feeding the hungry, because they are hungry of content. That's what their brain is nowadays trained to. So we can feed them with good content. Yeah. So when we talk about like feed the hungry, what I often hear is, yeah, but we don't have the resources to feed them that regularly. That's why we decided to do only a few posts, but they will have a really good quality. And yes, quality over quantity in general is a good thing, but you can really do good quality and quantity if you create it with structure and a strategy. Because if you have only like 1 post a week or 1 post every 2 weeks, you will reach nobody. And that's just a technical argumentation here, because the algorithm who is behind the platform, who is looking for good content to push it and show it to people, there are different factors that the algorithm are looking to. It's maybe I just go one back. So there's one factor which is like duration and watch time. So how long do they stay on your content? And this is of course connected to the what's the value of the content. And I don't mean financial value. There are postings which can just be $1 worth of resources, and there are postings which are like $2,000 worth of resources you need to create them. But it's like, what do they can get away with it? So if there is a good advice for them, or there is some, I don't know, a good product they need or something else. If there's a desire, um, how is it called in English? If they feel a desired is like feed it. So that's what makes them stay on the post. And this is watch time is one factor. And watch time you already can increase if your reels are short. So if you do like a 60-second video, it's on first sight, oh, if they look it, it's like 1 minute. If they watch it, it's 1 minute of watch time. But if we look at the statistics, most of the people are already scrolling to the next video after 5 seconds, if there isn't a good hook. So what we are looking for regarding watch time is we need, on one side, a great intro to a video or posting so that they are visually hooked to stay on a post. But we also can do only a short video, but then having like a long description to it. And that's what is trending at the moment more and more, that you have like only 4-second videos, but it's like a moving image or something else. And then you have like a pretty long text, and they stay there and read the text. But this also is connected to how do you hook them? So how do you catch their attention? And then what is the thing you're giving them? If you're just doing a text which they get everywhere else, and maybe in the Christian context, they have read over and over again, they will just swipe away. So watch time is one thing. There are different tools we can use to go through it now in detail would be, yeah, maybe it would exceed the framing we have here. So watch time is one for the algorithm. Then we have the big thing is interactions. And you can somehow like pull interaction with questions. You can do like mistakes on purpose. So they will talk about mistakes in your content, or you have like controversial questions, and all of this will like, yeah, will be like a magnet for interactions. So interactions means people are talking about it, it's relevant to them, and they are pushing it by themselves. We had one video which was only like 10 seconds. There was no bigger meaning behind it. So the company had like a little scene. It was not the best joke they made. It was a bit dirty, but the people, they just went for it. So this was one of my clients. They had the wish they want to try a dirty joke on their social media and see what will happen. So we posted it, and this video got 16 million views within 2 weeks. And normally we have a reach for their videos with like 2,000 views. So this was kind of viral. Especially it went viral in countries like America, India, Iraq, Iran. So those were the 4 biggest countries it went viral. And the reason why it went viral, because we had a lot of shares. So there's, oh, it's funny, I share it with my friends. So that's another thing for the interaction part, sharing. And then we had like a couple thousand comments on it. And they were like teasing themselves, and they were talking about it, and they made other funny jokes. And well, the topic wasn't the best. I don't support this topic, but it showed me very clearly, if you get a content they are talking about and they want to share, you have a pretty good chance to have a greater reach, because the algorithm sees it's relevant. There are a lot of people investing time in this post. So watch time, interactions, those are 2 pretty big ones for the algorithm we have at the moment. So, and to have those postings which are like relevant to the people and also gain some reach, it's not helpful if we only post them once a week or once a month. The algorithm will not catch it because there will be no interaction with your content if you're not like in a good frequent and posting rhythm. So what I am talking with my clients a lot is about create content with structures, especially if they want just an advice or consultation how they can improve their channels. The first thing is, what is your process creating content at the moment? And then often it comes like, well, process, we just post what comes in mind. And that's the thing which will pretty fast will overwhelm the people who are managing the channel because you have like a pressure with deadlines. Because if you have like a rhythm, like once a week or twice a week, we post something on Tuesday, on Thursday, for example, and on Monday you go in office and sit there, oh, well, I need a post for tomorrow and I need a post for Thursday. And if you don't have a structure and like a content template you can use, it will be pretty overwhelming having this deadline and create pressure to create content over and over again. So what I suggest and what we are working most on is like having a content template somehow, which which contains topics and formats and different aspects we want to post. Also some trends you can hop on. So that's what we are working on the most, and this is one of the things which uh, brings the most impact on having a living social media channel, because you can talk a lot about like, yeah, we are doing 2 postings a week and we will do different kind of formats and videos and this and that. But at the end, if you're not able to really produce the content, the social media channel will not be really living. So what we are working on when we talk about a content template is like, what are the possible content formats for the channels we are using? There are options for videos for sure, also like image or graphics, and we also can work with text. And this depends on the platform we are in. So if you're looking on TikTok, they first started just with video. Now you can also post some photos like as a slideshow or something, but it really depends if this is if this makes sense, because they are really focusing on video. So if you are not able to have like multiple videos per week for TikTok, because you need it on TikTok, you need a pretty high frequency to post on to be really successful there. So when we look at Instagram and Facebook, which are already the same, almost the same, because it both belongs to the Meta company. So there we can work with video and image, but also what gains more and more importance is the descriptions and the text copy for it. So what are content formats? There are different content formats you can use as well, like podcasts and video podcasts. You can use them as well. So it really depends on the platform. Also, like YouTube has short form videos and long form videos. So short form videos like Reels, you can scroll through, but they also have the long form videos, and you can connect those two. Then another thing we are working on and we are talking about, so what are your content columns? So you can talk in general about the company or the church, but you can also talk specifically about your products or events. And then you can share knowledge or education. There's a letter missing. So those are 3 content columns we are often working in. So what is the main topics or the atmosphere, the lifestyle in our local church? So this would one part. If we when we post something about potluck or like a prayer meeting or something, that's all about lifestyle. And then you have events, for example, like concerts, or you have like a workshop series you want to invite people in. Then you have like education and knowledge, when you just share some Bible verses with some explanations, or you have some advice on lifestyle. So there can be different content columns. And then for sure, you have an editorial plan. So you have a clear posting rhythm. It totally makes sense to have like fixed days and times to post something, because one point there is the algorithm takes the track on it and will push your content, and also your audience will get used to the days and times you're posting, so they will kind of looking forward to what you post if your content is relevant to them. So that makes absolutely sense, and it also is a lot easier to handle with your human resources who are managing the channel, when they have a clear rhythm with days and times. And you also can see in your statistics and insights analytics which one is the best time and the best day for your audience, because you get information about what days and what times they are online. Then you can also see if there are some trends you can hop on. Sometimes there are nice ones which are easy to adapt. Then you can go for theme weeks. So where you have like, sure, you have events like Christmas and Easter and different other times during the year which are seasonal. So you can take them as a theme week, but you can also take like a week about grief, and you can do some postings just about grief. I'm currently working with the women's ministry here in Germany and building their channel. They have like around 11,000 followers. So we are looking now to restructure their editorial plan to have like a whole storyline during the year, which aims to promote events, but also like events, local events, but also like events like Easter, Christmas. There are different other events we are looking for. There's the International Women's Day. So there are different topics and themes you can go into it, and you can really structure the whole year by just taking, for example, like 12 or 16 topics per year, and then you structure your content. You have different perspectives on this topic and go through it. And then what is really important is also take a look on social relevance. So if you have some topics trending in the media at the moment, trending in your target audience environment, you can really hop on those topics and you can prepare content for them and put them in your editorial plan. And so you get inspiration from the media itself. And we as Christians have a lot to say about what is happening in the world. And sometimes we just need a little bit of courage, just to speak out what is our point of view. So having those, I mean, it's very general at the moment. Normally we work for this content structure. We have like at least 4 days or something. I'm working with my clients to build a content structure and content template for them. So it's a bit general, but if you keep that in mind and like work on your own like template and list, which helps you not to start again over and over the process. And then yeah, it will be easier. Another big point, especially when it comes to social relevance, is that social media challenges are looking to replace search engines. So a lot of options and functions of regular search engines like Google or Bing or whatever there is, the social media platforms are adapting them. So nowadays, a lot of especially younger generations, teenagers, and like people in the early 20s, they are not really going on websites anymore. So when they are looking for a specific topic, it can be a recipe for some lunch they want to cook. They just typing it into their Instagram search bar or TikTok or whatever, and it will replace part of the search engines we have out there. Not all of them, but for specific kind of audience and parts of life, they will be replaced. So what comes here is really SEO relevance increases, and your social media presence determines your future viability. So what that means is if you don't start to work on your content being relevant for your audience not only for your niche but also for their daily life, and you really need to connect what you offer them with their daily life and what is happening at the moment. The question is, how long will your social media channel, will still be on the market? So those are very interesting developments we have in the last month and like 2 years, that they really are looking to replace search engines, because what's behind that, if they have more time of the people in their apps, they can increase advertisement, and they can even collect more data. And data is the currency we are working on when we talking about social media. So those companies want to collect the data, so they want to know everything, so they want to replace this search engines. But that's a very nice thing for us, because if we use it, we really can get easily into their mobile phones. So if we are looking for relevant topics and we share what we think about it, we really can go easily in their mobile phones, because they are looking for it. So they are searching for specific keywords. And if we produce content for that, from our perspective, like, is it ADRA, or is it the women's ministry, or is it whatever institution we have in the church? There are a lot of. So we have different platforms, and can be like a hiding place for them if we have like really valuable content, which is not only mainstream media, where which they can find everywhere else. So I come back to the company I was talking about in the beginning, with the fire in their production facility. I told you already, so they were like, yeah, we start posting, and they posted, and then the fire, and then the social media channel was dead for around 6 months. So they had 6 months under self-management, without an editorial plan or strategy. And they had a self-created advertisement campaign just to gain reach, because they weren't growing in followers and reach. So they just made advertisements to grow and to gain more reach. And they burned around 250 euros per month, and they only reached 350 followers within 6 months. Within 6 months, which is quite a good number if you have like no plan at all and no strategy at all. So just like organic growth, it's okay. They had a reach of like 40,000 visits and views per month. That's also okay. But if you're looking for like a real impact through your social media channel, those numbers are pretty poor, especially if you invest a lot of money in it. So when they decided to work with me, we just revived the social media channel. So we started a communication strategy that we firstly explained what happened during the summer. Like, there was this big fire, but they had great help, and we did a few postings, and then we had the first goal was to support the recruiting process of the company. So we did a lot of postings about the atmosphere at the company, that it's a modern facility, they have modern machining stuff, but it was only organic content. So we did not invest in any advertisements for it. And then, so 10 months later, so this was actually those numbers are from June. That's when I first started preparing those slides. So we gained 5,000 followers. We had 3 viral videos, and we have a reach at the moment of around 150,000 visitors and impressions per month. And this was just because we implemented a content structure. In this case, we are going there every month for one day. We produce videos and photos, and we have a clear strategy how we post, what is our storytelling. This year they just bought another company and integrated them, so we had a clear storyline for that, and we communicated that. And right now, this social media channel has a lot of interaction. So we are getting comments, we are getting messages. The recruiting process really is much faster now. So they recruit new workers in around 3 to 4 weeks at the moment, which is pretty good for Germany at the moment. So and this is just the difference between like having a social media channel and managing a social media channel. And that's one of the core things what you need to do when you want to have a living social media channel. It's not just posting. It's like make a plan, make a strategy, and then go ahead, and you will see a big difference. Yeah. So that's actually what I wanted to give you in this like 45 minutes. I'm pretty good in time, Vanessa, so you don't need to write me a
I'm
message.
really impressed with you.
So yeah, if you have any questions going further into the topic, or maybe like we have a social media channel, can we meet and talk about? There are my contact details. I will also be in Montenegro in November for Gain Europe. So maybe some of us will meet there, and yeah, just feel free to reach out. I hope there
Thank
was
you.
something you could take away.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you
Yeah.
so much. You can leave that slide while I say a few things, and then we can go back to seeing your face, because then people might ask you. Yeah, for those who don't know, I tell the speakers 10 minutes left. I send messages. 5 minutes left. He did perfect. Thank you so much. That was such an interesting presentation. So this is the time for you to send questions to the chat that we can share with him. For me, I think I have several questions because I'm always taking notes, but let me at least ask two questions while people think they're on and add them to the chat. So you were talking about having a goal and having a target audience and having a unique selling point, and these are all very important things. Now, some of the people running social media platforms are maybe pastors or volunteers who never had any training on any of this, right? So how can they even start finding their unique selling point or the target audience, right?
Yeah. So what is very important is to look out for what others are doing. So when you go through social media and you want to start something for women's ministry. So first thing I did when they asked me to take a look on it, I was looking for, are there any German female influencers in the Christian sector? Are there any other women ministry institutions from other denominations or something who are present on social media? And I was just looking, what are they doing? Because I don't need to copy them. So this is one point I really recommend. You don't need to do the same exact thing what a possible competitor is doing already, because it will be very hard to just do it even better and reach the same people and bring them to you. And like, yeah. So that's one thing which is like easy to do because you have access to it. So for sure, there are other tools and you can go into data, but this will be too complicated. But when you want to find like the story or the unique selling point, what you're looking for is also like reflecting what is your personal, not only like the view from the institution or the company. So what is your personal thing, what you really like about the topic? Because creating content, especially if you're not trained to it, is most of the time also something you need to be like passionate about. And it's really hard if it's not your daily job to really feel into a topic you don't feel. So to find this unique point and the story you want to tell, think about what is the story you are passionate about, the position you are at the moment. So
I love
maybe
that.
those are two factors. Yeah.
I love the idea of look for others so that you don't copy them.
Yeah.
Look for others and find your unique point of view, your unique voice, and what you're really passionate about. Okay, and my second question, and then I share the ones from the rest. You were talking about making mistakes and kind of like sharing that on purpose, which for many people who are maybe used to different kind of platforms or formats, this feels like, no, wait a minute. Are we going to publish mistakes? Tell us a bit more about that.
Okay. So I had a pretty interesting experience when I was starting my personal TikTok channel, which is, by the way, not managed or something, and I didn't post there something for a while. But when I went into TikTok and tried a few things for myself, I was on a day trip in France, and there was like a military bunker stuff from a couple years ago, and I said a name of a leader but put the wrong image to it. In this case, it was really my mistake because I didn't know. Overnight, I gained 2,500 followers and like 500 comments under this video. And it just went viral. So this was because all of them were writing, well, that's the wrong guy, that's the wrong picture, and they just were pushing each other. So what I mean today with making mistakes on purpose is like, for sure you can, if you post the Bible verse, you can say like, instead of verse 20 it's 30 and the nerds will find it, right? But you can also do like a mistake which is like um oh, what is the English word for it? Like an uncommon opinion to a topic, which for a lot of people will be a mistake. And if we look at our beliefs and our point of view of what is happening in the world, our point of view is, for a lot of people, is a mistake. And for sure, we are taking the risk because that's what people do nowadays. But it's also a chance to reach people. But it takes a lot of courage. So I don't mean make stupid mistakes and tell, I don't know, some really stupid mistakes and not telling truth or something else, but do something which will trigger them. Yeah.
And then maybe also for me, we can do things in one take. And if we make a mistake, incorporate it, and it will come across as more authentic,
Yes,
possibly
of course. From
than
recording stuff and technical stuff. Yes, of course, for sure. You don't need to be a perfect speaker or spokesperson if you want to do reels. Not it's more authentic if you have like,
people will probably like you
yeah,
more when you make
of course.
mistakes. Thank you so much. So Jana wrote a question. Sorry, even with my glasses, I'm coming closer to the screen to read it. Is there a good online learning course where I can go and learn step by step these things?
That's an excellent question, which I can't answer because I'm not an online learning course guy.
Right, that's
So I,
okay.
I have I have a few books I read. I could recommend them, but they are in German. I don't know if they're in English as well or in another language. But for the online course, I have seen some on LinkedIn, but you will need a LinkedIn premium account for it. So they are pretty good, but it's mainly the German market, I know. So I don't know if this is a good thing to share only German things.
I mean, I guess you could share the books because it's likely they'll be available in English and other languages.
Yeah, that's probably.
Yeah, so
I will
you can
take a look
share
at it.
that with us. And then Vielco says, is it better to have multiple channels or to have all the content on one channel? For example, songs to one channel, theological topics to another, psychology to a third, etc.
Mm, it depends on the perspective. In general, I would say yes, because if people are interested in songs and then they suddenly get like a theological message which they didn't expect because they followed your channel because there was a nice song and good music. So what they expect from your channel is like good music. And then if you give them other stuff, they could be irritated, and often the button unfollow is closer than you think.
Hmm.
Um, but there are some, like when a local church starts a channel and they have like songs which they sing in their worship service, and they have impressions from their prayer meeting, and then the local pastor starts to have like a short reel and explaining something. In this case, it totally makes sense to have it all in one channel because it's one local church. But if you have it like on a more bigger frame, like the woman ministry account of Germany, that's really a like it's not a local thing. It's like for whole Germany. So I should focus there on one thing. Um, and yeah, so that would be my advice. As bigger it is, from the reach, it should be more consistent to the content you're providing.
So we need to be careful not to be seen as baiting and switching. So you come
Yes.
from songs and then, oh, now there's a sermon on,
Yes.
I don't know, Revelation or whatever.
Yes, exactly. And this also um, is important for like visual styles, for example. So like be consistent. At the moment, as I said, for the women's ministry in Germany, at the moment, every 2 weeks, the visual style changes because there are two people, one of them is me, who are creating the content. And then on the other 2 weeks, there's something else doing it. And we have different visual approaches to it, and it's very difficult to line them in one. So every time we switch, we see different numbers and we see different demographics in our insights because the other visual style is more for an like older generation, older like
We got you.
almost me. Like it's more like for 35, 40 plus, and then we have the other visual style which is more like for 20 to 35, 40. So we have two different age groups. And when somebody joins the channel and follows in the visual style, maybe for the target audience like 20 or 30 or something, and then 2 weeks later he gets content which is in a completely different visual style which doesn't fit to his own, then he will just unfollow.
Yeah. Creating confusion. Okay.
Yes.
You were talking about frequency, and I know that there's so many opinions on this, like how often you need to publish at what time in each platform. So I'm not going to go into that level of detail, but can you tell me maybe the bare minimum? Because in many cases, our social media platforms are run by people who are doing 3,000 other things.
Yes.
So what is the bare minimum you have to hit in order to actually have an alive social media account?
Yeah. So what we start with my clients is in the minimum of 2 postings per week with 2 stories to it. So we could go more in details how you can do like from 2 postings, multiple stories and increase like the content you're doing just from those 2 postings. But that's what I would say is the minimum, that like it's not too far away that you like drop out of the audience mind, but it's not like spamming them. But also for this, like if your channel is growing, and this is around like, yeah, if your channel reaches like 8,000, 10,000 followers, you should increase the number of postings because the algorithm will not share every post to every follower. And if you don't have enough postings per week, it can be that the follower just only get 1 post per week, or even no post per week because they have so much channels they follow and the algorithm just doesn't push it. But I would say to start with 2 postings per week and sharing them in the stories, maybe one day apart. So, for example, you post on Monday and you do a story on Tuesday to it, and then you post on Thursday and you do a story on Friday to it. So you have like almost with the time framing, almost the whole week, something which will show up on their channel.
Right. And a question to your answer, how much is too much? So, for example, a reel in the morning, a reel in the evening, and a story daily, is that too much?
Yes, I would say yes. But also there, if you're like a big influencer and you see no difference in the analytics, if you post more, they are really seeking for content. So this is what I say. So feed the hungry. So there are influencers who do like 20, 30, 40 stories per day and additional postings, and it just works. But especially if you go to topic accounts, which are not like on a personal base with one influencer, when you have a topic account, it can be overwhelming for the audience if you post too much because they just get annoyed.
Absolutely, absolutely. So this is a thank you comment from Sam saying thank you so much for the information presentation. There were many thanks, by the way. I'm just reading this one because it's the one, the latest one. The consistency suggestion you made with the German Women's Ministry things, it makes me wonder how effective a general church social media can be with multiple topics. That's a very good question, and probably a last question for tonight.
Yeah. So so multiple topics on one account. That's the
Yeah,
question.
so because you mentioned having an account for women's ministries.
Yes.
But say that a conference has one Facebook and Instagram account that gathers all the information of the conference in one.
I see. Yeah. So what I see in Germany is that a lot of unions are doing their own channels by themselves. So like South Germany, like one union there starting a women's ministry channel, and then you have like in North Germany, someone is starting one, and then you have overall German women's ministry. So one first point is you should join them. But it doesn't make sense to have like one channel for everything and then expect everything to join in. Because if you start posting like 4 months, you're focusing on women's topics, you will lose all the men. Well, not all, but most of the men. If you start posting teenage topics or teenage content, which is completely different language you need to speak, you will lose other generations. If you're starting about music and you have people who don't like the worship music because they have other channels already followed for it, so they will drop out. So it makes sense to split it a bit up, but you really have to think about what is worth the effort. So I don't think every topic we have to talk about in our church needs their own channel. So I would say, well, women ministry, I think that makes sense because this is there is not much comparable. So there's like really a lot of specific topics you can talk about there, and it's a niche. Yeah. But if you go to channel on your topics, like an Adventist music channel in your conference, take a look around what is already there in your country, because you don't want to compete with Hillsong. Well, that's a global thing, but there are other ministries which are probably not Adventist or maybe not Adventist who are already pretty big in one topic. And with our limited resources in our church, we really should find a topic which is worth it to invest in to really have an impact on the community.
Thank you. Thank you so much. This has been an incredibly good presentation. And I think if you put again the slide with your contact details,
Yes.
because I'm sure there'll be people wanting to have those books in German and suggestions, and they can email you more about it. Or they can email us as well, if not. But I just wanted to say thank you so much for sharing your expertise. Again, people who do this, they do it voluntarily, and they have been working for years in the industry to gain this knowledge. So thank you so much, Simon. We really, really appreciate what you share with us today.